Welcome back to another episode of the Mind If I Crash podcast. I'm your host, Tristan Taliano. Thank you guys for being patient with us. If you guys haven't seen the Happy Dad Hard Seltzer, go like that on the YouTube channel. Subscribe, comment, do your thing on that. Guys, today we have a very special guest from LaGrange, Ohio, a high school student athlete who went to the University of Pittsburgh for broadcasting and communications. He is now competing in the bodybuilding world. Mr. Troy, how are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. You've been the first guest that we've had in almost a month now.
Wow.
We've been really taking time off and doing the content, which I want to talk to you about yours. But first things first, when did the weight training start for you at the very beginning of your career?
The very beginning was pretty much obviously in high school when we had to for sports. I actually did not enjoy weight training one bit.
I hate it.
I would go just because I had to go. We'd have, organized times to go lift and train. And kind of I was telling you earlier about the pitchers and catchers in the off season. I'd go there, and it was more full body exercises more than anything. It wasn't necessarily like benching or deadlifting. It was essentially just like medicine ball tosses, sprints, more conditioning than actual cardiovascular, than weight training and strength training. But pretty much when I started actually falling in love with the weights and bodybuilding in general was after I tore my ACL in a flag football game, out of all things. I just
Interception.
And shout out to Soccer Sportsplex in North Olmsted with the AstroTurf.
Is that where it happened?
Yeah.
Damn. It's always on some turf where some bullshit like that happens.
The crazy thing is I've spoken with some people, and they claim that they got new turf now because they have that amateur or professional soccer team that plays there now. So now the AstroTurf's gone. I'm like,
I really hate turf.
Yeah.
So for baseball and stuff, did you ever have to play on turf fields?
I played in Avon and Lake County Captain's Field.
Hated that. Now on the topic of being a student athlete, you are a 3-year varsity letterman, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that means, from a young age, sophomore year you started varsity, or at least played enough?
I played varsity. I didn't necessarily start till junior year. I was better hitter than fielding, so I DH'd quite a bit frequently my sophomore year.
Man.
And we had a good program. Keystone's a very underrated program not for softball. Everyone knows about my uncle and the softball program that Keystone has, but the baseball's no joke either at Keystone High School. It's been a good program even before I got up to high school, and
it still is decent, right?
It's still a good. My other uncle, Bert Fitzgerald, he's the head coach there now currently.
That's funny. So baseball and softball, you guys got it on lock.
Yep.
That's funny.
So yeah, it was a good program. I had great upperclassmen ahead of me, and competition just kind of swelled through, and it was already a culture when I got there. But my class, we played together back in the hot stove days since we were like 8-10 years old,
right?
And we won a hot stove state championship when we were 12, and that was pretty much our life goal. Ironically, at the time, that's how small goals were back then. It's, hey, watch cartoons or get the coolest Yu-Gi-Oh card, and then like winning a state championship. That was like our thing that we said we were gonna do, and that was considered our life success. Like,
the innocent days.
So when we got up there to high school, that was pretty much our mantra from there on. Is we're gonna bring good baseball to Keystone, bring a state championship.
Go for the chip.
So I didn't necessarily start playing every day starting till junior year, but I did letter my sophomore year,
which is a flex. It is an accomplishment.
It kind of is, like back then to me, back
when
then.
Life is simple?
When life is simple, yeah, like I guess that's a good like little notch on your belt to have a letter. Now, truthfully, I'll be honest with you, I cherish more of the camaraderie and moments I had with friends that, our life has dramatically changed since then. Some of them I haven't seen for years. Some, are no longer with us. Some are, I think some in jail at this point. So It's like, I'll remember more memories of summer baseball trips to Tennessee and hanging out with people, or, just eating on the bus, just messing around more than the actual championships we won, the letters I got.
The pure moments. And that is really what kind of makes you fall in love with sports as a child, is that camaraderie, that brotherhood, that team atmosphere. You know, I definitely get that. Now, I did hear you mention briefly before we started, you did kind of have dreams and plans to take it on to the collegiate level, correct?
I did, yeah. I mean, like I said, back then everything changed. I really didn't it was kind of finding myself as a person. So pretty much at a young age, my whole life, I kind of thought I'm an athlete and that's all I am. There is no deeper Troy Piazza. I don't know what I am. There's no I guess there's no substance to me. I felt like if it's an athlete or I'm a bust.
Right.
Like, what else am I going to do to that point in time? And that's what a lot of young people get. And then even people our age. Shoot, I know a lot of, our peers our age who still have no idea what they're going to do career-wise or if that's what they want to do for the rest of their lives. And I'm still figuring myself out to an extent. So, when I was in high school, the dream was always go to college, play D1, make it big, go to the pros from that point on, But
sounds sweet.
But there is genetics that come into play. I wasn't the most gifted athlete. I'm not the tallest guy. At that time in high school, I was only 132 pounds.
Damn,
I wasn't.
And you were a DH,
so I wasn't the biggest.
You had some power behind you.
I wasn't the biggest guy, but my dad always said, "You outwork everybody, and you will play over them. I promise you that. It doesn't matter." If they're 6'5", they run a 4.2, you will play over them. If they're eating Cheetos on the weekend, not taking extra swings or not going out fielding ground balls, if you're working, you're going to play over them. And that's what I did. A lot of coaches, I think, played me just by the simple fact that they know I'm very coachable. I'll do whatever my coach says, and that's translated into my bodybuilding.
Into your life. It did from the outside looking in.
I'm very regimented in what I do and dedicated, and if I believe in you, I'll die for you. I'll go to war for you any day.
I like that.
That's how it is with my friendships. That is how it is with my family. If you're in my circle, I'll put it all on the line for you.
Right. I like that. I like that a lot. And honestly, it does show just how little we know when we are kind of in our youth, especially at that time. We are truly trying to figure out what is the next step to a chapter that is completely unknown, because we don't know. All we know at that point is school and the kids we grew up with, especially in a city like Amherst or LaGrange. It's we don't know.
No, it's so different, so sheltered. And no matter where you go to, if you go to college or even just go to LC or whatever, it's always different, just that next step in your life. It's just you don't know if you're going to see certain people again ever. You don't know what they're going to amount to, what you're going to amount to, what crazy circumstance is going to happen. That's just kind of what I think about now, just kind of reminiscing, kind of just hits me right now just talking about it. I was talking about my teammate, my one teammate, Caleb Stoller, he just had a kid and he just passed away this last year. And it's just crazy to think back in the high school and all those memories and just to think, wow, he was so excited for his future not knowing, and then now he's not with us, and it's and I'm still here, and it's sometimes you're why?
I'm a baby. I'm a fucking baby when it comes to that shit. Our generation has been ridden by a lot of things that we've had to overcome, on top of a ton of judgment from I think the generations before us. And I don't think that it's an excuse or a cop-out, but I do think that it has kind of breeded a headstrong mentality amongst a lot of people our age, if they're willing to kind of express themselves and explore new things. Those endless options, endless opportunity, but from true adversity comes great gifts, and we've been through shit, whether it was personal or amongst a peer, you just had to witness. We've all seen something if we've grown up kind of in this decade,
And what's crazy to me is we've gone through all this adversity and we're not scared to work. We've all worked hard to get to where we're at now, but it just seems the trend is what's the easiest way to get to that point.
Yeah. And it usually doesn't work.
Where's that magic pill or where's that genie in a bottle? Everyone's scared of failing or adversity. And I used to be I'm not gonna lie, I used to be scared as hell to fail. Nothing would I would have, you can ask any of my teammates when we were 12 on that state championship run, I would throw up before every game.
Nerves.
By the fear of letting my teammates down or letting my dad down. My dad was my coach in my youth, but you can ask any of my teammates, I didn't get any favoritism. He was arguably the hardest on me.
I like that,
If I
though.
miss 3 ground balls in practice, he's going to make me throw my glove down and hit baseballs at me, ground balls. So
Oh, you catching them barehanded, huh?
I didn't always catch them. Sometimes
Yeah,
they'd hit
I
me.
would.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, I like
But,
that.
you know, I don't regret any of that. And that, like, I thank my dad every day. Like, my mom instilled a lot of the caring traits that I have for people. Like, I genuinely want people to succeed in life, even if I really barely know them. If I feel they're a good person, I want them to have all the happiness in the world and achieve their dreams.
Yeah.
But my work ethic, I definitely gained from my dad, just from him being my coach and, you know, always telling me, fuck genetics, fuck this. Like, you can outwork anybody.
Right.
You can get to
Put in that
you
time.
can make it happen.
Right. And it's behind the scenes. And obviously, I'm positive that reigns true to your life today. The work behind closed doors makes for the showtime, you know, like everything that you do leading up to a competition or what you put on the YouTube channel, the work behind the scenes, no one truly knows. And that's where like the real struggles, the real challenges, the real failures probably come from.
And that's where, that's how the YouTube started. So when I tore my ACL and was going through that, it wasn't just, hey, look at me or I'm bored type deal. I made it because I was like, I don't care if I get 3 subscribers or I get 2 viewers. If some 10-year-old kid watches my video and inspires him to like go work out or better himself or work harder, or even like not the simple fact that you have to work out to better yourself. It's just the whole philosophy of it. Like, hey, just go out there, work hard, and like, you know, you're going to go through hard times. That's how life is. It's just how you react to that and what you do after that. There's no finish line to struggle. It's going to always occur in your life, and arguably it'll get harder when you have a significant other or when you get married, you have family. The pressure is going to even get greater at that point because you're not going to be able to be selfish when you got 3 kids and, you know, you got to tell Johnny, Susie, and Brianna that it's going to be okay at the end of the day because someone picked on him or someone tripped him or he failed a test. Like, you're going to not only have your struggle at that point, but you're going to have a whole family struggle.
Right.
And
you got to know how to handle that. You got to know how to take that and kind of be ready for it, you know? I do admire that. I think that when we even started this, it was more so, I know that it doesn't have to reach the masses for me to continue to do it and enjoy it. You do have something that I think is probably the greatest skill set to, like the greatest character trait to ever have is empathy, in my opinion. You know, I think especially as an adult, to be able to look at someone's situation and see if you can help or even just simply recognize what they're going through is hard in a selfish world. You know, when we're out for what can I get, not what can I give. And the fact that, you know, you're there for the long haul with the people around you. I mean, it does speak volumes of you, you know?
I appreciate that. It honestly, my mom even told me before, it is a blessing and a curse that I have that trait. Because it got to the point where when I was going through my like depressive states and my bipolar and was partying and drinking, it became much because I cared so much for people that it would take a toll on me. I didn't know how to say no to people. Like, I would always find a way to fit that person in. Like, I could be taking 24 credits in a semester. I could have, you know, practice or weightlifting, or I got to do all these things for my, you know, I was in a fraternity, so I was the president of my fraternity or vice president of my fraternity. I could be having fraternity things going on, but hey, can you help me out with, you know, setting up this, or can you come over and look at this on my computer and help me, or help me with this homework? Like, I will always like
make time.
Yeah, if you're a friend, like you're family to me. Like, if you're a true friend, so I'll always make time for people and to help people. And at a certain point, I had to learn how to say no and become a little selfish. And when I met my girlfriend, she kind of helped me out with that. I've been learning, like, you know, like it doesn't mean you're an asshole or you're not a good person for saying no. It's just they have to respect you too as a person and be like, hey, I'm still willing to help you. It's just not right now at this immediate time. I got too much on my plate.
Yes.
So I had to kind of learn, hey, I got the weight of the world on my shoulders right now. I can't add another pound right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
You can't add anything else.
You're not gonna be as accurate on what you can do, or you know what I mean. You're not gonna be able to fulfill all your promises, like,
or
if you make
truly
too
be
many.
there. Exactly.
And you're not gonna be able to it's not as genuine to me. I'm not gonna, like, if my heart's not all in it, I don't want to be there. Like, I want people to have the real Troy Piazza there, like, not some mindless person. Like, I'm thinking, oh crap, I gotta be here and here and here. Like,
your mind's a different
but I'm
place
here right
'cause you got
now.
too
Like,
much.
I'm rushed, checking my phone. Like, I hate that. Like, when I'm with a person, I'm constantly, like, checking my phone. It feels so rude. Like,
That's the Italian in you.
Yeah, people call me an old timer because, like, I literally never have my phone out unless I'm playing music or, looking at my workout plan that Mike sends me for the day. But other than that, I'm not, like, texting while people are talking or at family dinner. Like, I'm not, like, scrolling through Instagram. Like, I want you to have my time. Like, this is your time with me. This is my time with you.
Like, I respect that. I like that. And honestly, the fact that, like, me and Tommy have talked about this on air, off air. Being selfish can be the most selfless act for the ones that truly need you.
Yep.
And that is a hard thing to, like, implement when you're a naturally giving person. You want to take on and help everyone in the world if you can. And throughout my life and throughout some of my experience, I've definitely learned that is kind of mandatory to be able to operate at peak capacity for my family. And especially when you add, a significant other, children, anything, you need them, you got to be there, undivided attention.
100%.
It's not easy to do. It's definitely easier said than done.
It really is. I'm human. I still am heavily flawed, still working on things. That's something I continually try to work on every day. But as I stated before, back in, my youth, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do necessarily after, or what made me happy, or who I was. But that's just something that does make me happy. It makes me happy positively impacting someone's life in a positive way, helping them out. Even if it's something as simple as, like, hey, I'm out of pre-workout. Can I give you a pre-workout? Like, something as small as that, like, just makes me happy. Like, I can help someone out. Like, that little, like, interaction with some social interaction could help them or make their day that much better. Like, that's what people don't get. They don't know what's going through someone's head every day. They don't know what that simple hello or waving to someone or that nod, like, means to them. Like, they could be someone who's every day getting their ass beat by their dad at home, or they could have an alcoholic mother or a drug addicted mother, or, like, they just have a shit life, and that's simple. Oh my God, fucking Troy, even though I'm a nobody, but that's simple. Like, Troy, he dabbed me up at the gym, or, like, told me what workouts to do. Like, that can make that kid's dream, like, oh man, like, that's awesome, or his day, and he can go home, start watching Bradley Martin videos, and he could become the next big thing.
I like that. And shout out to Bradley Martin, by the way.
So, like, yeah, send it. And that, to me, is pretty much what I'm aspiring to do with my bodybuilding. I don't care about getting a pro card or getting any sponsorships through it or winning the Olympia. That's not my goal. Like, if that happens, whatever. I'm a competitive person. Every show I'm going to do in the future, and the show I did, hell yeah, I wanted to win it. Like, I'm an athlete. Like, I don't care if it's a walking your dog competition. I want to win it. Like,
Tommy might try to do something like that.
At the end of the day, it's bigger than that to me. That's small goals. Like, I know winning the Olympia is not a small task. I'm not trying to downplay that, but it's like every athlete, it seems, at the end of their career, they lose themselves. They don't know who they are because they don't have that anymore. So I want something bigger than that. Something when bodybuilding's all said and done, when I'm physically not able to do certain things that I could, I can still mentally be happy, because right now bodybuilding does occupy my mind, and it always keeps me busy and always keeps the demons at bay. Like, it mentally keeps me calm and happy, but someday that's going to be gone. So I want something bigger than that. And at least, like, if I leave something like I impacted 5 kids at Grafton Barbell, or I impacted 3 people who saw my story to my first show at Old School Iron, then that's a success to me. Yeah. And I think people view and define success in different ways. Like, people think, oh, I bought a Bugatti. That's, I made it. Or I got this Rollie. I made it. Got a $40,000 chain. I made it. I'm a rapper. I'm in a magazine. to me, I'm not a materialistic person. I really could give two shits if you're LeBron James or Machine Gun Kelly or whatever. Like, they can be not happy people.
Yeah.
They could have everything in the world and not be happy. To me, success will be, like I said, if I leave an impact on someone that positively changed their life, to stop them from going to a bad direction and lead them to a positive direction and leave them something that can impact them forever. That's a legacy to me.
I love that. And it's cool because as a kid, you didn't recognize any depth to your story,
No.
but that has been you the entire time.
Yep. It went from,
that's
success
amazing.
to me was making it to MLB. Like, it was like, if you don't do something with sports, like, you're a failure. Like, that's a failure. Or if I'm not making
mindset,
not making millions, I'm a failure. Or six figures, I'm a failure. No, I know people who are making, like, they're under middle class, making only like $35,000-$40,000, but they're fucking superheroes, man.
Yeah.
Superheroes. Like, they do way more for the community, way more for the youth than any professional athlete could dream of.
Yeah.
Not saying that there's
that
not
makes a
good people
difference.
in those industries. I'm just saying that, like, if you're out there and you think you have to be the next, like, celebrity just to make it or be a success or be worth something in this world, that's not true one bit. Not even close.
I like that. I like that a lot, honestly. It's wild, the versions of success that we build for ourselves. I'm not saying I wouldn't take a Bugatti, but I definitely want to have more than just that's a successful person, because that can motivate on a material side, but there isn't. You don't get remembered for shit like that, Like, I could have the biggest house on the block, but it doesn't mean that when I'm dead and gone, anyone's gonna remember, oh, that was Tristan's house.
No.
They're gonna remember, oh, like, his great grandkids still talk about him and the things that he was able to do for the community, for whatever it is that you end up finding, leaving that legacy. It keeps you alive,
100%. Because think about it, houses get sold, cars go bad, money goes, it fades. But like you said, your legacy's there forever. The type of person you were is how you'll be remembered. Like, in that moment of time, holy cow, that's a Bugatti, man.
Sweet.
Like,
yep.
That's my dude rocking that right now, driving that around. Like, it's a cool moment, Kodak moment. But, like, when it's all said and done and it's gone, that's going to be forgotten. No one's going to care that you had that Bugatti. They're going to be like, oh, look at him now. Now he's broke drinking Busch Light on his porch, Like, where'd that Bugatti go? And that's what I mean. Like, if you leave a legacy, it's forever. Like, even when you have your downfall, because some people will fall. Like, you'll hit the top and you will fall. Like, but if you have that support system that knows the person you are, like, they're gonna get you right back up. And that's what you want. You don't want to be that asshole flexing on everybody, and then when your time comes, because
look like a dick because you lost it.
Karma catches you, and people are gonna be like, well, that's what happens, and you're not gonna have help.
Yeah. And there isn't anything wrong with failure. I think we both kind of agreed upon, like, failure does bring change, depending on how you look at it. If you're okay and welcome failure as a way to grow, it can pay off dividends long term.
I love it. It's like a chip on my shoulder. Like, I love it. Like, if I don't reach a certain goal, that's just like fire and in the heart right there. Like, just to go harder the next time. Like, me not winning that show, like in Reno, my first show that I did, not winning any of the classes and coming in first, like, you're last, like, in my opinion. So it's like, on to the next one. Like, it's not, oh man, that sucks. Like, I suck. I'm not doing it anymore. It's, damn, I can't wait till the next one to, do better.
Take that. Yeah, take that hardware home. I do like that. Into, like, college, because I know the content side of things, it kind of started then, correct?
Essentially, yeah. It was near the end, actually. So I graduated 2016 with my degree, and the ACL tear shortly happened, I think, like a year, 2 years after that, if I'm not mistaken, like 2019, 2018, around that point in time. And I literally started the YouTube channel, like, taking it seriously. Like, I've made YouTube videos. I've always been interested. I've loved broadcast communication since high school. I took a broadcast communication course in high school, and I've always loved video editing. Video editing is my main thing that I enjoy with it.
It's cool.
I'm not handsome enough to be on the screen, and I've never had a radio voice like you. You have a phenomenal radio voice, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm not even blowing smoke up
Thanks.
your butt, but I've known, like, from doing radio courses and whatnot and listening to a lot of podcasts, you do have that voice. Like, you got to have that voice, and
Yeah.
I've not necessarily ever had that voice, so I've always been a more behind the scene type of guy, like run the camera, video edit, whatever, run the board for the station. But so I've made videos periodically in high school, like, oh, here's my buddy doing donuts in, like, the parking lot,
Right,
or here's
quick clips.
I would make, like, I'd have my mom, like, bless her heart, she'd bring a camera to every single baseball game for the season, record not just her son. Like, I'd say, Mom, you got to record the whole team. I'm going to put a highlight tape together, and we're going to give it at the team party at the end of the year.
That's cool.
So I'd record, like, highlight tapes, and I am so thankful that she did that, and I actually did that, because I still have the DVDs to this day. And like I said, some of my friends, like, I haven't seen in years, or they're different places in this point in time, and, like, just going back and watching that and remembering those memories and whatnot. So I've always had interest in broadcast communication, and
far before
but the
college,
channel
then.
seriously started when I want to make it professional, is when I tore my ACL, was laid up, couldn't do anything but watch Game of Thrones, HBO. I think I exhausted every single Netflix show because I literally couldn't move out of bed, and then I literally started watching YouTube seriously. Like, it's been around for a long time, obviously, way longer than that period of time. I've just never, like, got into YouTube. Now it's to the point where I'm, like, addicted to YouTube. Like, I could watch, like, how to tie a bow tie, and then I could end up in, like, a whirlwind of, like, 5 other random different, like,
tutorials.
Harry Potter videos, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, you just end up sucked in this, like, cyclone rabbit hole of inception of YouTube videos.
I love that
I
shit.
started watching, like, Bradley Martin videos, Sadiq Hadzovic videos, and that's when I got into the bodybuilding realm. And I was like, oh man, like, I just loved their personalities and loved the people they were. They just seemed like genuine good human beings, and it wasn't the competitive side of bodybuilding. Sadiq at the time was catering more towards just well-being people and just making videos like, hey, if you're going through a hard time, this, and he was showing his transformation about, like, when he was, like, about my weight, like 132 pounds, to him now he's like 240, and
straight funk
just
too.
seeing that in the Bradley Martin videos. And actually there's his name's Ryan Dangler. He's actually significantly younger than us. He's 21, but that's what I mean. Like, you can look up to people even if they're younger than you, if you have the right personality and you're genuine and you actually see them put their heart in it. And Ryan Dangler, he's an Instagram personality. He's big on YouTube. He's only, I believe, 21 years old, but I started watching his videos too, and I was like, man, this kid's got it too. Like,
I've seen him on TikTok before.
Yeah, he's a good dude, and he's down to earth. I've seen him at Old School Iron. He's a local Ohio kid. I've seen him talking. He'll talk to anybody. He doesn't care. You're take a picture with whoever, and, like, he doesn't hold himself above anybody else, even though he's got hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok or whatever, and making money, and he's sponsored. And, you know, it's kind of, I guess, in the fitness industry, you'd say he made it now, which is the crazy part of society now. It's like technology is a blessing and a curse. Like, you can access any type of information on the internet now you want.
Immediately.
You can figure out how to get stuff, but it's such a curse too to our generation by the fact that, like,
they become addicted.
Kind of how we were talking earlier with the phone. Like, no one knows how to talk to people. So when you see a young kid like Ryan, like, communicating with people and being open and just, like, not so sucked into the YouTube and, like, not knowing how to verbally communicate with people, it's very, like, a fresh of, you know, it's just fresh to me, like, refreshing just to see a young kid able to communicate, like,
and doing it too, like, making shit happen is kind of cool to see.
Where, I don't know, and that's where bodybuilding's changed as well. Is it's kind of actually, the 80s was obviously the peak, essentially 80s, 90s, with Ronnie Coleman and Dorian and all those guys, and obviously, like, Arnold back then. But technology, that's kind of where now you don't need to compete to be something in the fitness industry, really. You can make it on YouTube, you can make it on TikTok, and that's kind of where it's separated, and people, like, bodybuilding's even gotten way less of a following and way more blackballed and tabooed, because people just, why would I compete when I could just, you know, go make TikToks
exactly
and make it, and get sponsored, or just flex on Instagram shirtless and get thousands of people to like my photo.
And fitness, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but fitness is probably one of the biggest money makers with all these supplements and gear. I mean, there's so much to it. There's a lot of money there.
Unfortunately, yes. You if you don't do your research and you don't actually, which 80% of people don't know what to look on the labels. People don't read labels. When they go grocery shopping, they're like, oh, there's salmon, that's healthy, but then they don't look on the back and actually look at the macros and micros, see how much fat content is, how much carb content is. I was speaking actually with my grandmother the other day, and she was asking me, like, what I do food-wise, and I was like, or like, you know, what tastes good, and I was like, I don't even eat for taste anymore, as sad as that is, to be honest with you. Like, I look at food as macros, micros, like
Fuel,
carbs,
right.
how many grams of carbs do I need in this meal, how many grams of protein. I don't care how it tastes, honestly. I'll just eat whatever. But the fitness industry, yes, it is very corrupt in the aspect of they get their money for sure.
Yeah.
They'll sell you this fat burner product, say take this pill, because they're selling it off the generation that we were speaking of that wants that easy fix, that take that magic pill, it's gonna make me an 8-pack or turn me into Arnold, or take this SARM or take this pro hormone or inject 3,000 fucking mgs of tren in me and I'm gonna be Superman. No, it doesn't matter what you take, what you eat, if you're not consistent with it, if you're not dedicated and you don't do your research, you don't train intensely and with purpose. And what I mean train with purpose is there's so many times you'll see, okay, I got 4 sets, 10 reps on the bench, and you'll just see them go. And then they're done. They're not even like contracting their muscles. They're not even like doing that mind-muscle connection. Like, I could do probably a lot more than Johnny down the street with 30-pound dumbbells, and he could do pumping out 10 reps of 80 pounds on like benching. I promise you, if during the pandemic was good proof that I had in my garage, my little pandemic gym, I got lucky. I actually like ordered a squat rack right before it happened, so I had like a full gym in my garage, but I only had 25s, 30s, and 70s for dumbbells. Plates, I had a
shit ton.
Probably like over 500 pounds, which is unnecessary. Which is unnecessary amount for me, honestly, because I'm not doing that. But yeah, I could, like, you give me only 30s to use and say that's all you have for 12 weeks to use, I guarantee I come out looking better than Johnny down the street.
You're gonna make something shake.
Just because it's not about just going through the motions. You have to actually have that mind-muscle connection. You have to feel, you have to contract, and you got to know what you're doing. Like, there's rep schemes, there's drop sets you can do. There's just so many different variables to it, which are it's just a simple fact that people are uneducated about it, like we were saying before.
Absolutely. Can you kind of elaborate? Because, like, I've noticed this from watching Bradley Martin. Like I told you, I don't know much about the fitness world, especially at like a competition level. But I do understand that like some of the best workouts on squats and stuff, anything really, is kind of essentially what you're saying is really envision what you're doing. And then like, even like when they're doing these reps, like they almost like flex when they've completed.
Yes.
What does that do exactly? Like, what is the purpose of that?
Of contracting the muscle?
Yeah.
It's just more to the fact that you're getting more blood to the muscle.
Okay.
You're actually like I said, you're focusing on it more. Like, literally, there's other, like when you're doing a bench press, for example, there's secondary muscles you're working, right? So your goal when working a body group is to isolate that muscle you want to work as much as possible. So, for example, if you're not focused solely on the chest on a bench press, you might be overusing your shoulders too much, or your biceps or your triceps, and by doing that, you're just more susceptible to injury, and you're just not getting the maximum amount of, as they say, bro science term, gains as you possibly could get.
Right.
For me, being so new into the bodybuilding, I've learned something new every day. I've been lucky to work with, I'd say honestly, 2 of the best coaches in their respective areas. My first coach, Aaron Legend, he is based out of Toronto. He's an IFBB pro, men's physique pro. Extremely knowledgeable on nutrition. He's like I said, he's a gold medalist. He's competed on the Olympia stage as a natural athlete. And then now I currently work with IFBB pro Big Mike Eli, who's also been on the Olympia stage, and he's turned, I believe he told me the other day, 29 athletes pro.
Wow.
And he's been in the industry for, almost 3 decades.
Mike's changed a lot of lives.
So yes. So that, like I said, I've been lucky, and it's been, I'd say going on 6 months now with being on Team Big Mike, and it has been an awesome experience. Just getting to know the inner Big Mike, not the outside and all his accolades, because just to give Mike his due diligence and his kudos, he is a really good guy. He's willing to do anything for his athletes. We were talking about money in the fitness industry, right? Mm-hmm. And for trainers, they actually lose money on going to their athlete's show. You got to think about it. When they go to these shows, they're for a whole weekend. So normally if you go to a weekend show Friday, you have your weigh-ins, you're getting your first coat of tanning. Sometimes, like for my show, due to the pandemic, you'll have pre-judging on the Friday. And then Saturday you'll have championships. And then some shows are just all in one day.
Really? You can knock all of that weigh-in, tanning, all of it in one day?
Some shows, they do it in just one day.
That's got to be a grind. That's like, 12 hours a straight?
Mm-hmm. Which I would hate that personally. I mean, I actually said that wrong. My show was all Saturday, except for the weigh-ins was Friday, and the first coat of tanning was Friday. But, so yeah, that's a whole weekend where Mike, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, could be training up to 50, 55 people, making money. Because he'll group. He has such a large clientele. He'll group people together. He'll train like 2 to 3 people sometimes at once. So that's a whole weekend of not training people, and he's focused on his competitive clients, which he can only have maybe like 3 to 5 on a show. But
at that particular one, right?
Looks at us like family, and he wants to support us. So he doesn't care that he's going to lose money in the traveling. He's spending gas money, his food, and like that to me is huge. And just the fact that Mike is willing to sit down with you and talk life with you is huge. Because I was nervous when I left my coach. We were friends before that point. When I tore my ACL, I met my coach Aaron Legend at the Arnold Classic, hobbling around on I think I had a crutch, or I don't know if I had 2 crutches at that point in time. I think it was just one.
Was this after the scooter? Or were you on crutches first?
Yeah, I didn't have the scooter very long,
The scooter,
actually.
I've heard only funny things about. I want to see pictures of the scooter.
The scooter wasn't very long. That was like maybe like a couple weeks or whatever.
Okay, that was definitely short in retrospect.
Because the reason that was, though, I would have loved to ride the scooter, honestly, everywhere. But to get the surgery, you have to be able to walk without the crutches forward into the surgery room. Because the more stiff you are when they repair the ACL, it's going to be harder for you to get your range of motion. It will just heal.
Okay, so
straight.
less likely for full
you actually have
repair.
To start moving it around, kind of. So I had to graduate from the scooter quickly.
Yeah.
But it was fun while it lasted. I mean, there was even a Target run. I went to Target and I rode on like one of the scooter things there. But that was great. But so I hobbled around the Arnold Classic. I went to go to Sadiq, who I was telling you at that point in time was like my hero from YouTube, like Sadiq Hadzovic at the GAT supplement booth.
Right.
And Sadiq at that point in time, so this must have been 2018 because Sadiq at that time was competing. And he left to go eat a meal. So I went up there to go see Sadiq Hadzovic, and he's not even at the booth. And I'm like, crap, well, I don't know any of these people there.
Right.
Which at the time, I didn't know he was going to be a big name. Big Ramy was there, the current Mr. Olympia for bodybuilding. So the best in the world was sitting there. But at the time, I was like, I don't know who the hell that is.
Yeah.
Didn't pay him any business. Well, joke's on me now. But and then there was Aaron. He was standing there, and he's like, hey, what's up, man? And this is just the type of person Aaron is, and this is why we hit it off from the get and became good friends. Is he just came up, he's like, hey, how's it going, man? And he's like, oh, what'd you do to the knee? I told him, and I said, yeah, it kind of stinks. I don't know what I'm going to do. He's like, well, don't give up. He said, don't give up, man. He's like, I tore my ACL. He's like, I went to the gym on my crutches, and that's what motivated me to go to the gym. He's like, don't care about what anyone thinks about you or looking at you in a weird way. He's like, you're just bettering yourself, man. It's you against you. Like, don't worry about other people looking at you that way. And then he pulls out his picture with his, like, which at the time, like, I didn't really follow the sport that much, didn't know who he was, and it was him in, like, board shorts, shirtless, like, in his stage photo probably from when he competed on, when he got his gold medal, I'm assuming, and he signed it, and he said, "Legends lead by example," and he said, "Good luck with the comeback." And then after that, a lot of people would have left it at that with his status. I didn't know at the time he was basically a celebrity. Like, he had 38,000 followers on Instagram and had a YouTube following, and I didn't know he was number one in, the men's physique world in Toronto. And so at that time, a normal person of his status would probably leave it at that, and that's it. He gave me his number. He proceeded to give me his personal phone number after that and followed me on Instagram and said, "If you ever need anything, contact me." And from that point on, Aaron Legend, I'm thankful. He changed my life forever from that point. Anytime I'd go, like, man, I just want to drink, or, like, I want to do this, like, I want to party, I don't even care about working out, like, I'm never going to get better, never going to improve, nothing's going to change. Aaron always told me, "Nah, dude, just keep going, never give up, every day." And, like, as it went on, a year later, that's when I was like, all right, like, I trust you now as a person, like, let's do it, like, be my coach. So he started recomping my body, and that's when I went through a dramatic change. And then that's when everyone's like, holy cow, Troy, like, looks way different now. He recomped my body totally. No plans to do a show, just helped me through the physical therapy and eating properly. Like, he just changed my whole view on food, like, in the way I look at food. Like, I haven't had, like, McDonald's in, like, 5 years, 8 years. I'll never eat that again. Like, and just the simple fact that that's when I started looking at macros and micros. He would send me my nutrition program and be on an Excel document breaking everything down to the last gram. I knew what I was putting in my body. And following that, that's when the pandemic hit.
You were cool with that sacrifice? Like, did it not matter to you? I mean, as an Italian, I'm assuming that you love food, no?
I love food.
Okay.
You can ask my girlfriend
So
sitting
that was
over
a
there,
sacrifice.
Like,
okay.
I do love food. I'm a fat kid in a, like, this body, a jock's body, I guess. I call it a jock. Because I, like, bodybuilding-wise, people look at me and they're like, man, he's big. He probably lifts weights or is a body.
Yeah, dude,
but,
you're
like,
a fucking unit.
But now that I'm in the bodybuilding world, like, I'm very hard on myself. I don't consider, like, me a bodybuilder yet. Like, we're just getting started. But I am a fat kid, and, like, I love food. I love chicken wings. I like burgers and pizza. But for me, I'm just a very disciplined person. I've eaten chicken and rice. My coworkers make fun of me to this day. They're like, "What's for lunch? Chicken and rice?" Yep, that's what I've had the last 3 to 4 years every day for lunch. Is essentially my main food sources: chicken, rice, sweet potatoes, quinoa, eggs.
So,
beef.
and it's, I'm assuming, in the purest form or an organic form, the best you can potentially find.
And now it's to the point where I've just done it for so long, it doesn't faze me, and I feel actually guilty when I go off of my regiment and my meal plan. If, like, Mike gives me 2 cheat meals a week because I'm in my off season, and even when I eat the cheat meal, I try to keep it clean as possible. I still feel like guilty after, because it's not what I was supposed to do. Because that's the way bodybuilding is. You can go on stage and just be thankful to be there, and it could be like a bucket list thing. But when you're a competitor like me and you want to win and you want to beat the last physique that you put on stage, every day matters, even your off season.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I can go have 4 pieces of pizza today, and then after that go to Frankie's Italian cuisine and have nice spaghetti and meatballs and eat this and this, and, like, that all matters, like, when it comes down to it. Like, every day you trained up to that show matters.
Right.
And it's just like, people are like, it's just one day. Not to me. I'm like, that could be one day I could be beating someone's ass, like, getting better.
Right.
So that's just the competitor in me. But that's kind of something I've had to live with and calm down with too, because it will drive you nuts. Like, it really will. Like, that was the hardest part about the show prep, was just neglecting time from people I care about and family, like, every day, like, preparing the meals. Like, obviously eating the meals even takes time. You got to eat every 2 to 3 hours. Like, I'd have 6 meals a day to this point with my shakes, and just prepping the meals, doing my 9 to 5 job. trying to make time for my girlfriend and her son, and I do my cardio and posing, and it's a 24/7 thing. It really occupies your mind for the whole day. And if you don't do all those little things that you're supposed to do, those are just the basic things you have to do to actually look the way you would. If you want to win, you got to go above that. So it's just like anything else. Like, you can do the things you got to do just to get by, but if you want to be a champion and you want to be actually a household name, or you want to be a big name, you have to do the extras.
Yeah, and make tons of sacrifices.
And that's in anything you do in life. You want to be one of the best podcasters in the world, you have to continually put out content every week. If you want to be the best painter in the world, you should be painting every single fucking day. Like, it translates to anything in life. Just if you want to be the best at your craft, or you want to be successful at your craft, you have to have constant repetitions of it.
Be obsessed.
Because there's always someone working harder than you. Always.
Yeah. Do you tell yourself that? Like, when you're training to keep yourself hungry, do you tell yourself, Johnny down the street is doing more reps than me?
Yeah, I don't have to tell myself that. I just know that.
Yeah,
and
right.
by the fact that with my switch to Team Big Mike and seeing the success of my own teammates and how they've done more shows than me, but they've also they've been there and they've placed in the places that I hope to get to eventually, and just going to Old School Iron in Brook Park, which is one of the most competitive gyms in Ohio. It's it's primarily a powerlifting gym, but there's bodybuilders there, and just seeing that competition, and I'm like, seeing where they're at now, and even though I'm just getting started, that's just an excuse though. Just because I'm getting started doesn't mean I can't beat them or do better than them. It just means I got to work harder than them, and that is a chip on my shoulder right there. It's not a hate thing. I think what we were talking about earlier is with people, I guess, not cheering for people's downfall, but like for example, my teammate from high school, Brandon Sittinger, he just got called up to the Diamondbacks.
Hell yeah.
So for me, that's so motivating for me. It's like but I use it in a different way. I'm not like, oh man, Brandon got there, my life sucks, or I'm not as successful, I got to go harder. To me, it's like, it's a competition with myself. I'm like, I want to outdo Brandon, so I'm going to go harder. Like, he made it there, so I got to outdo him. I got to win my next show, get this pro. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I wish society as a whole could be more like that. I think people who bring others down is because they're not working as hard. Like,
misery loves company.
Normally, if someone's talking smack on you or dragging your name through the mud, it means they haven't achieved what you have, and they're either A, jealous, or B, lazy and not willing to work as hard. Okay, like, whatever. You don't have to like that person, but don't degrade their work.
Exactly.
What they took to get to that point just because you don't like them. Work harder, and that's the biggest middle finger you could send someone. Like, if you have beef with someone and they're at a higher point than you are in your life and more successful, as we were talking about earlier in their terms, then work harder, beat them. That
is a middle finger too.
And that's
an
a
eternal middle finger.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna go comment on, there's not many people I don't like, but I'm not gonna go on someone I don't like, comment on their first place finish in their show and be like, oh yeah, you only had 3 people in your class though, no wonder why you no, instead I'm just gonna go do a bigger, badder show, win that fucking show,
take home some hardware,
and right there, and not say anything. Let my work and actions do the talking. I'm not much of a smack talker. Like, we were talking earlier about how women, when they fight, it's scary. They just get after it. Like, I'm that same way. Like, I don't talk. I just put my head down, keep to myself, and work. And that's, I think, the biggest middle finger you can do to someone, because if someone doesn't like you in return, they're gonna be keeping an eye on you, and they're gonna see that.
That man is the threat. People with that mentality are a true threat, because there's no ego, there's no mind games. It's simply business, and
that's just
scary.
how I've always been. I've never been the one to be the cocky guy who's going to be like, some people, you have to find what fuels you and your own motivation. So some people, that works for them. Like some people,
Yeah, you got the Chad Johnsons
some
of the
people,
world.
yeah, that fires you up, and
Mhm.
like there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you want to be that type of person, I'm not saying that's wrong. Like that's not the wrong way. Like you got to find what works for you and gets you to the point you want to get to. So if your thing is, hey, I'm going to score 4 touchdowns on your ass today and post it on their Instagram, and that's your fuel, go for it. But
Right.
me personally, that's just not me. I have my own ways of motivating myself, and like simply like the fact that I just want to inner peace with myself and be able to look in the mirror at the end of the day and be happy. And I think that what makes me more of a threat than the person posting on your Instagram, hey, I'll see you in October at the show. Or
Right.
beat your ass on stage. Like I'd rather fly under the radar, no one know my name. Like the trenches is where I belong. I don't even want to be on the top of the totem pole. I think that's when things will actually become more difficult for me. Like if I actually grow in the sport and get a spotlight on me, that'll be harder for me to handle than it is now being at the bottom. Like
Yeah.
to me, I'm comfortable at the bottom. No one watching me, no one caring about me, no one knowing about my name. I can just show up to a show, look good as fuck, and then people be like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Right.
and blow up their scene. I'd rather right now I'm way more comfortable with that, and it's going to be an interesting transition when I eventually get to that point where people do know my name. I am on their radar. That's going to get taken used to.
Yeah, I mean, think about when the blue check mark goes next to your name. I mean, at that point, you've
Yeah.
put in the legwork, and you know it's small steps, and that's something I've had to kind of understand in my own lane in life. You know, small steps towards perfection, not even just perfection, towards progress. You know, like I can set a milestone, and it might potentially take a month, but if I only set, you know, hey, I've got 3 days to figure this shit out. I'll do it in 3 days.
Sure.
You know, and I got put onto that saying like not that long ago, like the amount of time you give yourself for your goals, obviously within reason. If science doesn't defy that, then I can't just shred like
That's such a
100
good
pounds,
point you
you
made
know?
there. Like you got to be realistic with your goals. I tell people like obviously, you know, when you get to a certain age, you got to give up on like a certain like you're probably not going to be a center in the NBA if you're 5'2" and you're
Right.
32 years old. So you got to be like realistic about your goals, but yeah, you got to take your time and there's no rush, and but that is what we live in now, man. It's people want that quick fix, and there's 16-year-olds at my gym asking me like, "Oh, what should I take? Should I take a pro hormone or should I take?" I'm like, "Dude, you're 16 years
Damn.
old. You should be drinking chocolate milk and eating like peanut butter and just lift heavy, man. Like you're so
Yeah.
and eat everything in the sight. Like what are
It's so
what are
different
you
when you're a
doing?
kid.
Like,
When you're just training, it is different when you're young.
and that's the difference to me. I will never abuse anything and go over the top just to reach something at a certain. It's my speed. Like I said, I want to win every show I do. I want a pro card, but that's not what I do it for. Like I'm just chasing my ideal physique that I'm happy with, and I don't
Right.
care if it takes like 18 years to get it. Like I'd rather do that than sell my soul just for one fucking win, and that's
For the
it.
high.
Like, you know, that's just not me. I think people they rush to get somewhere and it hurts them in the long run. They're not patient. And I get that, like not being patient, because it sucks. Like when you're not where you want to be, it's depressing sometimes. But at the end of the day, you'll get there if you just do your due diligence. You're consistent. Consistency is key. Anything in life you want to do.
Absolutely.
If you're consistently doing the right things, you're constantly working hard, the chips are gonna fall in the right spot eventually.
Yes.
It's just
It's
like
odds. It's like
the
gambling odds.
Yeah, it's gambling. Yeah, like they're just gonna eventually fall. Like
Right.
there's no way you can be working out every day and stay fat forever.
You
and
can't
eating the right-
miss 100% of the shots you do take. You
Yeah.
know, like if you really do, then you're copping shacks at
like,
the free throw.
There's no way you're not going to be able to not learn how to do a tattoo if you're practicing every day. Like, there's just no way. Like, it's going to eventually happen. It's just where people mess up and they fall off is they just give up too quickly. They don't give it enough time. Whereas, like, that's where I'm thankful for Aaron. I was that type of person. Like, I would quit. Like, honestly, I truthfully would quit when things would get harder. Want to quit at least, or I'd fall back to like something like drinking or something that made me feel good at the time, or I thought made me feel good. And I'd fall into that trap, like go into my emotions. But now I've learned, like, it's okay to fail and not be where you want to be. Yes, I'm my own biggest critic. I'm extremely hard on myself to this day. But when it comes down to it, I do know deep down inside, like, I am doing well. It's going in the right direction. It's trending. Keep doing it, and it's going to keep falling. Because, look, you've already done it. Like, I fall back to what I've already done, and I know I can improve on that.
Absolutely. And that is something, not to be off topic, my mom is like very in tune with like the universe and things like that. And she's always kind of said, like, if you are in your desired field, following a dream or doing what you enjoy doing, and you are putting in that work, the universe will naturally gift you things.
Yep, 100%.
And, recognize it, be grateful for it, but continue to put in the work, because those gifts will get bigger and better unintentionally and unexpectedly, and that is kind of the cool thing, is to see where the progress goes from here. You
gotta be able to take small victories. Like, yes, my coach and me have the same mentality. Like, if you didn't come in first, you didn't win your show. Like, he posted something in our team group page the other day. Oh, it was a stacked class, aka you lost. Like, yeah, that's true. Like, a lot of people make excuses, but at the same time, though, where, like, I did kind of disagree with that post, is you do have to don't make excuses, but you do got to take small victories. Like, instead of saying, like, hey, my class had 25 people in it, like, which my show did, and it was stacked, which mine was, and everyone was like a decade older than me, done 8 shows.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ever say, though, that's the reason I lost, but I got to give myself, like, if you're just constantly throwing negatives at yourself, like, oh, I made 4 errors today, or, oh, like, I don't know, I didn't win the show, like, you're just going to quit because you don't have anything to hang your head on at the end of the day as a positive.
Right.
My dad, actually, giving him kudos as a coach, he always, no matter what, he'd rip our asses, even if we blew out a team 10-0, he'd say every fucking thing we did wrong. You didn't use 2 hands in this pop-up. Sprint to the dugout after the inning. Quit taking your damn time out there celebrating, showboating. But then he'd always end with a positive.
Yeah.
You always end with a positive. And I believe that in anything in life. Like, for you guys, for your podcast, you can have we didn't reach this many views or listens this week, but we did have one more than we had the week before.
Right.
So you got to take, like, small victories, and I believe that's kind of how you can motivate yourself to keep going as well. Like, you are improving. As long as you're seeing improvement at some point, no matter how minuscule the improvement is, it's still improvement, and you're still going somewhere.
Absolutely. Leading up to the big events, the competitions, there's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, once you arrive, once weigh-ins happen, we've had someone on the show who said something that honestly sticks with me. Anytime I have someone in the weight cutting world on, and he said, I think every person should have to do a weight cut at least once in their life to see if they can push themselves to that level. Like, can they do it? You learn a lot about yourself.
You do.
What's a weight cut like for you, and where are you mentally in that process?
Well, as stated before, I love food. So it depends what your coach's philosophy is. Some coaches believe diet, and some people believe more cardio. Okay? So, like I said, both my coaches, my current one, Mike, being older, believes in more diet, and then my last coach believed in cardio, in my opinion, even though I also wasn't eating a lot. I was doing 3 days a week fasted cardio for 50 minutes in the morning at one point in show prep, at one point like just 500 calories burnt, and then post-workout 50 more minutes. So it was nearly like...
You putting on a sauna suit and shit like that?
No.
Okay.
So it was nearly like 2 hours of cardio a day at that point. And then I was eating, which is like a lot for some people, but I was only eating 2,100 calories. But to give you an idea of, it essentially cut my calories in half. At the peak of, I started prep last year at 210 is when I started my 16-week prep. I was at 4,450 calories.
Because those 6 meals and things like that.
Yeah, by the end, of peak week, I believe I was at 2,045 calories, which doesn't seem a lot, but here's where you're going to get good context. So I went from like 160 grams of fat in my off season daily to the week of my show, I was 24 grams of fat, which is very unsafe. That's when you get brain fog. And mind you, I work a job where I need to be mentally there to function. There's lives at stake for my day job. So for your listeners who don't know, I'm a quality test technician, data specialist. I'm working with high pressure oil vessels and things that go into the oil fields and the Navy uses. And, if our vessels fail, they can kill people.
Yeah,
so
little room for error.
So yeah, it's just something I need to mentally be able to be there and be aware. And it was so hard during show prep. Like I took off like when I could, but I'm one of the only few people at my company. Like I don't have many backups for me, so I can't always just willy-nilly take off whenever.
Right.
So I was doing the show prep and cutting like while working my 9 to 5, while still trying to like maintain relationships with family, friends, and whatnot. And it's just mentally frustrating. Like there'd be times I'd get home and just want to break down. I'd be like, babe, like I can't do this anymore. It's like taking time from you. Like, is this worth it just to get on stage and like do some poses and like flex? And then like, but it was so hard because I did this first show I dedicated to my friend Alexis Sharkey, who passed. She unjustly had her life taken from her in last Thanksgiving. And I dedicated the whole show to her. I was like, I'm going to do this show for her. Like, she should be here right now, and she would want to do the things she loves to do. Yeah. So I'm just going to do something that I've always wanted to do, and I'm just going to go for it now. I'm not going to be scared anymore to be who I am and do what I want to do. I'm going to start bodybuilding. I don't care what people think anymore. Like, I don't care if I get judged or get called the steroided fucking meathead or wherever I go out, always constantly get looked at. Like, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to go for it and do it, and it's going to mentally make me happy and in a better spot.
Right.
So with her, like dedicating the show to her, it kind of kept me going, didn't give up. And then my girlfriend played a huge part in it. She always told me not to give up, and you made it this far, like keep going. But it's just, you're constantly hungry, obviously. That's an obvious. Like anytime you do any type of diet, you're obviously going to be hungry if you're taking in less food than you are. But the hardest part was like the brain fog. Like there'd be times where I'd forget something that's simple, like just short-term memory loss and just not being able to focus, dozing off. Right. And like you're dozing off and you're so tired, but you can't sleep. Like I had like insomnia during show prep. Like I was only getting like 4 to 5 hours of sleep, if that, like average. Which some people it's a lot, but for me, like that was like not enough sleep. Like
it's your recovery time too. Your body truly needs it.
100%, and that's been my goal this for the next show and next off season. Have a way better sleep schedule, way better recovery. That's something I do need to significantly improve on. But the hardest part about it was simply the brain fog for me, just not always being there, always being tired, always being physically tired. The workouts didn't really suffer from, honestly, the cut. I maintained a lot of my strength, actually. I didn't really lose much, but my last coach's training philosophy was very different. It was more essentially like a HIIT style training. I was doing supersets and giant sets, and for your listeners who don't know what that is, a superset is when you go from one exercise immediately to the other without rest. A giant set is when you do 2 to 3 exercises, say just randomly bench, deadlift, squat, without rest. So I would do, for example, on chest day, like incline dumbbell bench press with incline flies, and then go do the pec deck. Like
all in one sitting. So
all
like
in one
boom,
set.
boom,
So
boom,
4
boom.
sets of each exercise, 15 to 20 reps.
Oh shit! You're doing all of. Okay, damn.
And that's one portion of the workout.
That's a gnarly workout right there, dude.
So I was doing that on low calories, and MIIC's isn't far off. Like there's only so many different variations you can do when it comes to training. Like I said, what it comes down to and separates you is the intensity and consistency of the intensity and the contractions and mind-muscle connection, in my opinion. Because every coach who's done it, who has certifications in the sport, there's only so many exercises you can do. It's not like we're inventing like new things really necessarily and new machines. It's the basics like squat, deadlift, bench, curls.
You're a free weight fan though, at heart?
I love free weights, but since I've transitioned to bodybuilding, truthfully, like machines are the new wave
now. Perfect form.
Yeah, like a lot of not just for form, just for longevity. You're obviously gonna stick around more doing a bench press machine versus barbell bench press, which is terrible for your shoulders.
Which sucks because
so you're better off either doing dumbbells, which is isolated, so you're also getting the stabilization muscles, and then a machine. So barbell bench, I've only done inclines recently, but I haven't flat barbell benched in almost like 2 years. People ask me how much I bench all the time. That's like the main caveman question I get asked.
It's the most Chad thing to get asked.
Yeah, it really is. It's so cringe, honestly. Like, I hate it. Like, I really do dislike that question, but I get it asked all the time. First thing, I'll just be with her at a restaurant or a bar, and some guy, he's probably like 6 beers deep, comes over and he's like, "Hey, bro, how much you bench?" And I'm just like, ugh. So cringe.
Dude's got his Gymshark tee on. Nothing against Gymshark. I'm just saying.
So most
dude probably
of the time,
isn't in there working
now
out.
I just like respond with, I don't work out, or like I don't know. I try to chat him back.
Damn.
If you're gonna ask me a Chad question, it's like hard for me to take it seriously.
Especially if you guys are out to eat. I thought maybe in the gym someone would approach you to ask you simple questions, but that's a different ball game.
Believe it or not, no. Like the only time. And I'm more forgiving about it, I'll get asked questions like that in the gym if it's a young kid, which out of my 2 gyms, Grafton Barbell being my home gym currently. During prep, it was Old School Iron. Grafton Barbell, there's a younger demographic there, and I get asked more commonly there questions like that. And, and I understand at that point they're just young
lack of
kids,
knowledge,
and they just don't know.
Yeah.
So I actually do like take the time to address like, no, I don't really like bench heavy. It's not, weight's kind of irrelevant for me. It's more, and then I explain the contraction and whatnot. Whereas my other gym, no, I don't get asked that because
everyone means business.
Yeah, Old School Iron is, like I said, a very competitive gym, and everyone's very knowledgeable there, and that's why I loved my show prep there, is because it was one of those things where there's always bigger dudes there. There's always more knowledgeable people there. And
you remain a student.
And that's where that's who I like to train with. I mainly like to train by myself, just blast tunes and work out by myself, because I know I'm not going to slow myself down. I know I'm going to focus the whole time. But if I'm going to train with a partner, they either have to be bigger than me, stronger than me, or more knowledgeable in the subject of, fitness and working out than me. So that's when the vlog got interesting as well. My YouTube is I tried to bring on, because when I explain to people, I'm not certified nutritionist. I'm still learning. I'm not certified trainer. So to me, when I speak, it's everything I've learned from everybody else.
Right.
It's not I'm the most knowledgeable. Like to that, like a lot of times I'll still say bro term and terminology when it comes to working out, because I really don't know the science behind a lot of things I do. Like I said, I'm just coachable and I trust people and I see they're successful. I'm like, well, hey, if they achieve this doing that, and there must be something to it.
Right.
I think that's just kind of common sense. I think the more you surround yourself with successful people, or what you term as successful, or people who've done it, or you've seen them achieve a certain status, and you do some of the things that they do, or they tell you to, or you pick their brain, like you should be always picking their brain. Like if someone wants to start a podcast, they should be talking to you like right now, hitting you up on Instagram and being like, hey, how'd you get started, or what equipment should I buy, and like what have you found works for you? And that's all I've taken that mentality with bodybuilding. I've just gone and I've not been afraid to talk to bigger guys. I've not been intimidated or had an ego. Like people have an ego, and that's an issue too. They're like, oh, like I'm not gonna go talk to that guy, like I'm bigger than him, or I'm gonna be bigger, I'll just keep doing this, or I'm gonna take more of this or do this. Whereas me, I'm the complete opposite. Like I don't care if I'm gonna compete against you in a month. Yeah, we'll be like enemies on stage, but right now, like tell me what you're doing. Like obviously, like your quad development looks crazy right now. Like what have you been doing for legs, or what are you eating, or how are you recovering? Like are you getting like deep tissue massages every month or every other week? Like just simple things like that, and I've taken that into the bodybuilding world.
Right.
So old school iron, to answer your question, no, I don't get asked questions like that. Generally, like I said, people are more knowledgeable on the subject there, and they're not going to ask me those kind of things.
It's the public, though.
It's more it's more business there too. It's really not much conversation, honestly, going on there, which was weird to me. That was the thing I didn't like there. Versus Grafton is like, it's like family to me there. Like, it's like another home. There's people like who are really good people there who I could just BS about their day and how it's going, and I like that because the gym essentially is my bar now and my way of socializing with people. So when it comes to the workout, I'm all business. But before I work out or after my training session's over, I love to talk to people, see how their day's going, see what they've been up to outside of fitness. And like I said, that's like my bar.
That's how you build rapport. Yeah, absolutely. And that is, I mean, it is very cool, especially the amount of time you devote. On average, what would you say how much time you think you put in a week? In competition.
Oh my goodness. In a competition prep?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Like I said, it's 24/7.
Well, yeah, I guess with your I mean everything, yeah. There's
no your downtime would be sleeping, because you're gonna be between that posing. I would devote about an hour to half an hour a day to posing alone. Immediately post workout, I'd pose while your muscles are basically pumped up. I'd pose when I get home after I shower. And then sometimes in the morning when I wake up and I'm like nothing in me. And then, like I said, your cardio, and then you're cooking the actual food, and
your prep.
And there's just non and off season, generally gym time, like weightlifting's about 45 minutes to an hour. Past, unless you're working out with a partner, then it probably goes like an hour and a half. But anything past an hour is actually counterproductive to working out. Really? Yeah, you want to get in and get out, and at a certain point you've broken down your muscles to the point where they're not really like, you're not really breaking them down anymore, and it's just you're gonna get more cortisol, and it's just not. It's
the soreness and stuff like that.
It's just counterproductive, really, past that point. So I'd say like an hour of weight training to an hour and 15. And then about half an hour. I honestly been terrible about the cardio this offseason. Mike's been getting on me, but it was 20 minutes. Now he bumped it to 30 minutes. And then, like I said, I try to pose after that. So you're almost in the gym for about 2 hours, and that's not counting. You're like, if you do bullshit with someone, just talk sports or whatever, that could be 10 to 15 minutes. And then that's not accounting for, like I said, the drive time or anything like that.
Now, with the posing, is that, because I mean, obviously, like, that's what you see, like, that's what I see on TikTok, is a lot of the times those dudes just, like, hitting those wild moves. It looks like a statue, almost, essentially. Is that when you're not in competition or leading up to see what still needs to be worked on? Like, what are you looking for when you guys are doing that?
So, most people, I'd say, do it to see what they need to improve on, or just to, like, kind of like an ego thing, or just I don't know, just for, like I said, the clout. But really, it's kind of what we spoke on earlier about repetitions. Posing is the most important thing out of anything you do, honestly. You could have the best physique in the world, but if you can't present it, you can lose.
Yeah.
Simply by posing in certain ways, angling certain ways, you can make your lats 2 inches bigger, or you can make them look smaller than what they actually are if you're not opening them up properly. So I pose year-round. At least I made it my goal to pose every day until my next show, is just to improve my craft on it. Like, just to, I want to be known for that. Like, man, Troy's a good at posing. And that was one of the biggest things I hung my hat on for my first show. It wasn't that I placed in all 4 classes I did in one of the biggest shows in the nation. On my first show, I hung my hat on. I spoke with the judges after to see what I needed to work on for the next off season.
That's cool.
Which is what Big Mike helped me through my last prep. Just like, because he was physically here.
Mhm.
Aaron was in Toronto, Canada, so it was all online based.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much, it was like a tough decision, but the switch, I made it because Aaron isn't physically here.
Yeah.
Can't physically look at me, can't physically come to my show, especially with the pandemic. He couldn't leave Canada, so he wasn't even at my first show,
Right.
which is nerve-wracking. Just the fact that the judges, though, and Mike says after every show he has his athletes go talk to the judges and see what they got to work on. So when he told me that, I did that after my show. They obviously said legs, because everybody, you can have enormous legs. You can never have big enough legs, though. You can always improve on your legs. It doesn't matter
Legs
if you
look crazy.
It doesn't
in
matter
those
if you
shows.
got ham bones hanging out of your shorts. Like, they always say legs. Like, you always can have bigger and more conditioned legs. And they told me, on a positive, though, they said your posing was beyond your experience level. They said my posing was very good. They said there was a couple things I could work on with it, obviously, but they said for my experience level, it was very good. And
Yeah,
I
your
took
first
that,
show.
and I was like, well, the thing I did was pose for like 2 years straight with Aaron. So it was like, even when I wasn't even close to doing a show, so I'm just going to continue that. And
Right.
so it's just repetitions is mainly why I do it.
I love that. I like that, though. Like the constant effort, because it is 24/7. I guess that was like a pretty broad question. I guess I should have asked like how much time you spend in the gym, but yes, even down to sleep. Like sleep isn't necessarily a break, especially if you have to program your recovery time. Like I have to be in bed by 9:30 or 10. Mandatory. Like that's still sticking to your daily regimen, you know?
Yeah, to give more of an idea, I guess, for your question, like, because I guess I'm putting in like layman terms too, because it is like I'm kind of I'm underselling it. Like people are like, oh, sleep, food, whatever. So here was my day when I'm in show prep. I would wake up at 4 a.m., drive my ass in a blizzard to Old School Iron when it's freezing. I'm the first one, like one of the first 3 people in that bitch. Do my cardio, go home, shower, make my 3 meals that I take to work. Like, not make them, they're already made from the night prior, but I'm like putting them in the containers, weighing them out, because I have to weigh everything. That's your thing. Like, you're not just dumping food in a container. I'm weighing everything on a scale. Like, I look like I'm dealing drugs out in my apartment, because I got this like food scale, and I'm weighing out my food, feed the dogs, make sure like actually the things you got to do to be a good homeowner and whatnot, and a good like partner in life, and for your significant other, making sure all those common things are done too. The garbage is taken out. Like, that's what people are forgetting. Like, I'm not only doing all this stuff, but I'm still doing all the same daily things that you do.
Yeah.
I'm taking out the trash. I'm doing the dishes. I'm cleaning the house. I'm doing whatever. Like, I'm still doing those things. And then on top of it, so I leave, go to work 7 to 3:30, get home. When I get home, I eat my meal. I spend basically, this is how little time I get to spend with my girlfriend. I spent basically an hour digesting that food before the gym. And that's why I'm so thankful to have had her. Like, her and like her son, like she can't just leave her son there attended for. So basically I'd give her an hour, and she'd only have an hour to go do what she had to do, like go to Planet Fitness, tan, grocery shop, or whatever.
Right.
And then, okay, like I'm back. Now Troy's got to go. And this is like 6 o'clock. Go to the gym, drink my pre-workout there, train till about 7:30. And then I do my posing till 7:50. And then about an hour of cardio and stretching, get home, shower, eat, and then cook all my meals for the next day. And this is getting around like 10, 11 o'clock. And then finally, 10 or 11 o'clock at night, sit down, maybe chill, watch some Netflix, go to bed. And
right back at it the next day.
Repeat.
That is... I couldn't. It's awesome. I do envy you for that. That's insane.
And the thing is, like, we were speaking about the brain fog and not being there, and the thing I learned from it is it's something you are choosing to do. So I'd never, like, besides to vent to her, I would never complain or take it out on someone else. And if I did, I'd feel bad. Like, if you're a jerk during your show prep, or you're going for a pat on your back, like by saying, "Oh, I'm doing this," I never would do that. I knew from the get it's something I wanted to do, enjoyed doing, it was my choice. So. Never complained or took it out on other people, at least.
Right. I do like that.
Which people tend to do.
I think that's in a lot of areas in life where people are struggling to see growth, like people definitely tend to get very, very upset. What are some of your goals moving forward?
With bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm. Just everything, with your content. What do you
Um,
plan to do, say, in the next year?
so the next big content wise, I've kind of been mulling that over what I want to do because the thing I need to work on with that is more consistently posting.
Mm-hmm.
But my philosophy was, and what I disclosed with my very small amount of subscribers that I have on YouTube was, hey, the bodybuilding is going to come first, not the YouTube. I'm sorry. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to continue to post and inspire you and help you guys out as much as possible. I'll always answer questions if you message me.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe if you want to be successful in life, you have to go all in on that and put your whole being in it and your whole heart in it.
Right.
So when I was in prep, the YouTube kind of took the side because I started a road to my show, which was my last season. I posted on YouTube, and I think after 7 weeks out, I stopped doing it completely. I was like, there's no way I can balance doing the quality of YouTube that I want to put out there
Mm-hmm.
because it became less about just posting and posting and posting and posting dog crap versus like, oh, I want to kind of make it cool and actually like
Right.
the video quality good, the editing good, and bring them the best content I could bring and the
Yes.
real me I could bring to like the editing time. That's like half an hour to an hour, of time I'm not going to get back for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And half an hour of editing is nothing. Like that's actually very sloppy, quick editing for editing, videos on YouTube. In my opinion, like from my experience in
Dude, you're
broadcast
not wrong.
communication, like I think if you're not putting like 3 to 4 hours in editing it, something, it's not gonna come out like professionally. It's gonna be, it could be good. Like I
Mm-hmm.
have good videos for the amount of time I spent on it. It's a hobby, so I'm not really gonna put more than half an hour to an hour into the YouTube. It's a
Right.
fun hobby that I try to put out there, but I'm not gonna put 3 to 4 hours in YouTube because my goal isn't to be the top YouTuber in the world
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. But so the last series followed Road to my show, and after 7 weeks out, I was like, eh.
Can't do it.
So I recorded. Obviously, the whole point of it was Road to my show. So on show day, my cousin Colin came out with me to Reno, Nevada. We brought the camera. I recorded a little bit of it, but then I just kind of got lucky that the show was live streamed and it was TV quality because it was Center Podium was the company that put on the show, and they put on all the West Coast shows for bodybuilding.
Right.
And Chris Mims, like that dude is phenomenal. He's a wizard, man. Like these shows are top of the line. Like he for Dave Lieberman's one out here at the Palace in October, he actually's helping him out with that one. So I'm interested to see
That's
how
dope.
that one turns out because
That'll be
Chris
cool.
Mims, like, and Center Podium put on a hell of a show. Like the live stream was very unexpected. The quality, like my mom, the day of the show, texted me like, "Hey, I got the live pay-per-view because you
Mm-hmm.
had to pay to get it. It was like
Oh, I'm sure.
25-50 bucks or whatever for prejudging and the championships." But then like after my show, I was looking at like family tagging me in videos because they were watching it at like some local like restaurant or
Oh, it was on TV.
whatever. They just like posted the pay-per-view, and it was like 30 people in the room watching. I was like stunned. I was just like, I
That's
was
cool.
kind of embarrassed at that time because I wanted to do the show out west so like no one would see me really, because I was like, I don't know, I was too nerve-wracking for my first one to do a local one.
Absolutely.
Plus I wanted to challenge myself, go out west. Like I didn't want to be a big fish in a small pond. I wanted to see where it really stood and what I could really do in the sport,
Mm-hmm.
where I could go. And the quality was so good, I just screen recorded half of it because I still had my mom's login to the pay-per-view, and I
Right.
took that, put that in the YouTube video, and that was it. It was very lazy editing towards the end. But this next season, I want to bring something different. I've been recording a little bit into the off season, but I want to go more into lifestyle more than just simple bodybuilding. So I don't want to simply just post my training and then that's it. Hey, see you later. See you next week.
Mm-hmm.
I think I do need to bring more of my personality in it.
Right. Who is Troy?
Yeah, and just bring more content like that. So I've been recording, and I think my idea with the next season is to record as much as possible. And even though it won't be live time, which is normal, like I like to do, is like people actually be able to follow it live time. I think I'm just going to record, edit every episode, and then I think consistently posting will be better than following it in live time, being sloppy, not the best. So
Right.
I'm going to record the whole season, edit the whole season, and then I'm going to post it.
That'll be cool. And a true vlog style is always, for me, being like also being obsessed with YouTube is something I've always enjoyed, like actually seeing what the day-to-day is for a lot of people. You know, people you wouldn't normally be able to follow around, you know, and it is personal, you know, carrying that. I know sometimes just people in general, like you see me carrying around that giant thing and they're like, what the fuck? Tommy's actually a wizard on that.
Yeah.
Drone shots.
And it's just like, you know, you just like want to show people that how we were speaking earlier, you're more than that Bugatti. You're more than the bodybuilding. So I think what I have kind of failed to do, which I originally didn't plan on doing with the vlog, was to show that I'm more than just this in the bodybuilding and my personality, which I think a couple episodes early on I tried to do. I think one of my best ones that had the most views was the Cleveland Browns draft party vlog.
That's probably sweet.
It's actually pretty good, and it's actually one of my best ones on YouTube that's done the best. But other than that, yeah, it's mainly just training, which I think I need to get better at posting other things on there for sure.
Yeah.
So this season, I'm going to Denver. My cousin for my birthday got me tickets to Millennium at Red Rocks, so I think I'm gonna bring it out to Denver.
Red Rock
hopefully
is so
get a
sweet.
good training session out there. These new iPhones, damn man, they're like basically like having a 4K camera. So
that's what we're recording on right now.
Normally concerts you can't bring like video cameras into, but I think now what's a game changer for the YouTube channel is I can record a lot more content of places where I couldn't bring my camera actually to before. Like my next show, I would like to show backstage like videos, like what's actually going on backstage.
That would be
people are
sweet.
like, what do you guys do backstage like before the show? And I'm like, honestly, you would be surprised because you would be like, so what the hell's the point? You starve yourself, and then you get backstage and people are pounding like rice cakes with peanut butter and strawberry jam on. I'm eating like McDonald's and shit and like just trying to get pumped up. And like,
would you do it? Would the guys at the competition be cool with it? Like, do you think someone would be like, yo, what the fuck?
Absolutely. They'd be okay with it because, like I said, that's the transition in fitness now. It's become so commercialized with
super mainstream
with social media. Not to the extent like you'll never see bodybuilding on ESPN, which is a damn shame. You'll never see it on TV, which is sad to me because these athletes, like I said, I think it's one of the hardest sports in the world. It's really one of the most mental sports in the world, and just because the simple fact that they're taking an illegal substance is why it's not going to be, where that illegal substance shouldn't be degrading their hard work that they put into it and their dedication, because everybody could take those and not look like that person because they're going to go out, they're going to cheat on their diet, they're not going to train as intensely, they're not going to put the time that person did. And simply like genetics do play a part in bodybuilding. Like I don't have the greatest calves. Like that's simple. Like they're like if I work calves every day, Big Mike might work them out one time in his whole life, and he's still, if he has genetically better calves, they're simply like his are just gonna grow quicker than mine, even with doing them minimally.
Right.
So it's just genetics play a part in all those small things, but just by the fact that illegal substances are involved in it, I don't understand why that blackballs it. When there's athletes, I promise you 80% of the league in the NFL, from being around the sport of bodybuilding, I promise you 80% of the NFL is on steroids.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
they'll
gear.
admit.
I'm
they'll
sorry,
admit
that's a
that
dirty
type
word.
of
I don't
shit.
like using that. On gear,
Yeah.
as we term it. It's who gets caught in those leagues. It's kind of like college recruiting. When there's money involved, it's going to be in the NFL who gets caught and who's that name. They're not going to suspend J.J. Watt in his peak when I know for a fact that man is on gear.
That's a big boy.
He's not going to get suspended because he was J.J. Watt. He was the sack leader in the NFL. He brings in money, brings in views. And people also have the term, if you take stuff that, like, they have the misconception that you're going to be jacked and enormous. No, you know how many baseball players in the steroid era of baseball, when the sport was saved with all the hitters were getting, like, getting shit and they were getting caught, but pitchers are taking more of it than the hitters. Like, they use it for recovery. That's the main reason people are taking it, is for recovery.
Right.
And you can train more and more consistently and more well rested. That's the primarily like reason athletes take it, like a baseball player and an NFL player, just by the simple fact that they can recover quicker. They're not doing it to get big. People don't understand it's not the drug that's making you big. If you sit on your couch and you inject 500 milligrams of testosterone every day, but you're not training, you will get fat, watery, and even if you are working out 3 times a day, but your diet shit, you're going to be still fat, watery. And like, even if you like work out every day and you're eating better, you can still get fat if you're not training intensely and you're not consistent. Like,
watery.
And watery. Your face bloats out, man. It's just, I don't know. It's just sad to me. I hope someday that changes, especially with social media and people educating themselves more on it. But
can I ask you? It's my favorite, and I'm not even a fitness dude. The Thanos, where it's like, finally, and it's like the trend, and it's like when the trend kicks in, and it's this ripped fucking kid, and you're like, damn, dude.
Let me tell your viewers now, or your listeners and viewers now. I promise you, with everything out now, between the garbage, like pro hormones, SARMs, we live in a world where, like, no one's natural. Like, I mean, if you eat chicken from your grocery store, you're not natural with all the shit they pump in it. So, like, quit worrying about if people are natural or not and just work harder. Like, simply, like, no one's natural nowadays to an extent. There's more people on than you would even know. Like I said, they're uneducated about it. They don't know what they're doing. That skinny 145-pound kid's probably taking more shit than Big Mike right now, and he's not Big Mike. So I'm just telling you right now, don't worry about that. Do the right things. Don't even worry about if you should be taking stuff or not. Like, if the time comes, it'll come, but that's not going to be the thing that puts you over the top, or doesn't. I promise you that. Make sure, and if you do that, make sure you educate yourself. Don't just willy-nilly and take something and fuck yourself up for life because Johnny took this and did this and he turned into this. I don't want anyone out there to hurt themselves, because even though I love the sport of bodybuilding and I do want it on TV, and I'm kind of like downplaying, I don't want to downplay the drugs. Like, I'm not trying to say like everyone go take them, everyone's doing it in the NFL, everyone's doing it and this and that. Like, I don't want I don't condone it for anyone, who's under the age of 21. And even that, like, you should have trained naturally for about a decade before you do anything, and make sure you do your research and you see a doctor regularly. Like, get your blood work done. I would never want anyone to fuck themselves up, because it can fuck you up for life. It can be life-changing and altering and change everything forever. So if anyone out there is thinking of doing anything like that and taking gear, do your research, talk to the right people, and be careful. Make sure it's what you want to do, because once you do it, it's not something as simple like you do it for 8 weeks to look good on the beach just to get some bitches and like get a number or whatever. It's like not worth it. Like, once you do it, you're in it for life. So just keep that in mind.
And do you follow the UFC at all?
I do.
Okay.
Not as much as I did. So I followed the UFC.
What about like TJ Dillashaw?
The Forrest Griffin era and like Anderson Silva.
So I do
know who
they
TJ
were fucking pumping gear then too, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
They had
John Bones Jones has been caught for it.
John Bones Jones has been caught with everything. TJ just came off
That's the truth.
That's a fact. He just came off a suspension for, and I'm sure if I showed you, you guys might understand it better than me, but it actually wasn't really anything that's even deemed like illegal in the US. It's just illegal in the UFC. And it was really just for recovery. He had like a micro tear in his shoulder and he was trying to recover but continue to train, and it's crazy the restrictions. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's competitions that test, there's competitions that don't.
Correct.
Right?
So the Lieberman one we were speaking of earlier at the Palace, I believe, is a natural show, and they do test. The problem with that is, and why my last coach, Aaron Legend, stopped competing. He retired at the age of 30, man. He just turned 31. He's only in his early 30s. Like, I'm 27, so like he's not much older than me.
Right.
And he retired at his peak of his career because he was a natural athlete. But how he explained it to me, he said what people would do is they'd be on for 10 months out of the year, and then they just clean out their systems before the show.
Right. So
or
they are
find
getting
a way to get around it.
huge.
Yeah, which people, it's very common they'll do. They'll just get on, and then they'll do a natural show, and then they just get off before the testing. Just like if you're someone smoking weed, passing a drug test for work, same
Right.
thing. Like there's post lives to gear, and certain ones last longer than others, and you can calculate when you're going to get off a certain amount of time. Because no matter what, either show leading up to it, you're not going to be on anything essentially or consistently doing anything because you're going to hold more water, like we said earlier, watery.
Get fat.
So you want to
watery.
get, when you're doing a show, you want least amount of water as possible. You want to be dry, as they say, or conditioned. You want striations just showing out of your rib cage.
You guys look like a grain of wood. It looks insane when you look at it up close.
And you get that look. It's all through the water manipulation. So I keep emphasizing water. It's because that's what gear makes you hold is water, some of it. So really either under the spectrum, natural, a tested, not tested show, you're not going to be really doing anything leading up to it, essentially. But yeah, the natural shows, I'll tell you what, honestly, like I said, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care if a guy's natural or not. But I do see where Aaron's coming from, and I can see where the cry is for in baseball and sports, like truly people who aren't doing anything. I could see why they feel slighted.
Right.
You're doing something that is supposed to not. It's supposed to be natural, and you're doing things to get an upper hand. So it would essentially be cheating, which is unfortunate. But for the natural bodybuilding world in those competitions, there's people doing that all the time, and it
still kind of fucks the guy trying to just do the right thing.
But to me, it's like it's like I said, I just don't make excuses, and to me, to those people who feel slighted, just work harder. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like it's a sad reality until those competitions find a better way to figure it out, or like test you during the whole prep. Maybe they regularly send out like drug tests like 16 weeks out from the show or something. I don't know. It's until they do that. That's the nature of the beast, and you just gotta train harder
Improvise,
and work.
Right.
Because if you believe you don't need that to be a certain level, then okay, prove it. Like if you believe like you can get a certain physique, like that's the thing I hear. Like people knock on like people who are on gear versus aren't. They're like, oh, I can get that. I don't need that. Or like, why are you doing that? And you don't even look as good. It's like it doesn't all just come down to that. Or people will say you wouldn't look like that if you weren't on at the same time. And it's like
right. There ain't no telling.
I don't know. There really isn't, because a lot of genetics come into play. So it's like
everyone's different.
You don't know, and everyone's different. So, but
I think it does get a bad rap for something that truly can help a lot of people. And at the end of the day, I think it does. Even outside of the world of weightlifting, powerlifting, and competition, I think it has a lot of good to it. And for that reason, and I'm the type, I don't give a shit what another person does, with pretty much anything.
It comes to anything in life, like in moderation and what's actually healthy. The problem is where it gets the bad rep, and people, you talk about like hearts failing and things going wrong, it's what we talked about earlier, not being patient, and people taking way more than they need to, not the bare minimum. They're taking way too much, or it's not enough. They're relying on the drug versus the consistency of the training, nutrition, and diet, and whatnot. Like they're relying on that, and that's a bad bodybuilder in general. And that's just an addictive personality that probably shouldn't be doing the drug in the first place.
Right.
If you have an addictive personality, you should not be taking gear, or probably doing any drug,
anything that makes you feel
or
outside
any
of
type
yourself.
of drug. Like I said, like. It's all in moderation. Like, there's nothing wrong with smoking weed. You probably shouldn't be smoking all damn day, though. You probably shouldn't be chiefing the whole day. There's, it's just there's nothing wrong with drinking a beer or two, but you probably shouldn't be drinking 20 beers and dehydrating your brain to the extent where like that's why
Yeah.
that's what getting drunk is. People don't understand like you literally when you're drinking alcohol, you're dehydrating yourself and you're dehydrating your brain, and that's why you get drunk.
Yeah,
You're
you get
suffocating
the
your brain.
yeah, I don't Jesus Christ. Dude, I know the Browns are playing. Thank you for being on the show. Before we get done today, do you have anything you want to plug, shout out, anything like that?
Definitely I would like to spread some spotlight on, like, if you've never heard of Alexis Sharkey, look up her story, Justice for Alexis. It's been nearly a year, and her killer still hasn't been brought to justice. Any support for that, even like you just hashtag in your story, like Justice for Alexis, like she definitely deserves some, recognition, and it's just a damn shame. She's someone who should be here now, and I promise you, if you think you're going through it now and you read her story, it will motivate you to keep going and push harder, because to me, that's what it did for me. That's a person I think who should be here right now, living her dream. I mean, she was, she had thousands and thousands and thousands of followers on TikTok, and like her dream was like to help the youth and young girls and feeling confident, and she's a person who should be here right now, and one of her dreams was like to be in magazines, and it's just sad to see the reason she was in People magazine is going through a grocery store because she was murdered and her killer hasn't been found. So it's like, so just for Alexis, if look up her story, Alexis Sharkey, hashtag it, put some spotlight on it, and hopefully some pressure for her killer to actually have some balls and either like turn himself in or help. If you can do anything to help with the case, that'd be great. Shout out to my boy Aaron Legend. Like I said, he changed my life. Follow Aaron Legend. Dude's a phenomenal human being, great guy. Shout out to Big Mike,
Absolutely.
my current guy. Go follow him, Big Mike Eli. And shout out to my girlfriend sitting over there, Brita Baby Mama. She's a model. Definitely don't want anybody commenting anything on her pictures, but go support, follow her, like her. And then shout out to you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming
honestly,
on, dude.
truthfully couldn't believe, like, it was very like one of those moments. I'm like, these guys want me on their podcast, like, for what?
No.
Like type moments. I was like, I've never been asked to do something like this, so it was definitely like a fun experience being on here and just shooting the breeze with you guys, and hopefully being a good representative of the bodybuilding community. Hopefully I didn't piss any OGs off with sharing certain things. I'm still learning. Like I said, I don't know what's taboo to bring up. I hopefully did a good job without throwing anybody under the bus here, and try to give you an idea. If you guys want a true idea, if you are looking into bodybuilding and want to understand the sport, like I said, you can follow my channel on YouTube, which is just my name, Troy Piazza, and I'm going to hopefully do a better job of giving you an idea of the daily grind of it, or, like I said, go on my Instagram, follow Aaron, follow Big Mike, and do your research, like I said.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm going to drop everyone's handles as long as you guys are all cool with that. I'll drop your coaches as well, Aaron and Mike. And dude, it's really cool to kind of see where you've come from, what you've overcome, and what you're looking to do moving forward. And for that reason, you are a well-rounded guest, and you know how to talk into the mic too. I noticed, like, you went to put the drink down, you said, "Oh, here I'm back." And that's cool to have. A lot of people don't know what exactly is going on this. You've been a great guest, very kind person, a lot of depth to you, and I'm excited. And best of luck with everything moving forward.
Appreciate it, man. Hopefully get back on.
Absolutely, and of course, if you're gonna be like leading up into a competition, I know times are probably super crunched then. Even if we have to come do the podcast at the gym, it'd be cool to get you right before competition.
Yeah, it'd be great. Like I said, to bring, someone with a fountain of knowledge like Mike on the show. He'd have a lot better stories and probably could give a lot better insight than I could in the bodybuilding, just because
Yeah.
the dudes lived and breathed the sport for over 3 decades. And I'm, like I said, I'm just getting started, and that's what I'm the most excited about. I've had, you know, in my eyes, minimal success, but to others, great success in the sport already. And for me, I've only, like I said, taken it seriously for like a year and a half, 2 years. So
Right.
to me, it's sky's the limit from this point on. So
See what happens next.
I'm
I like
excited.
that.
But hey, hopefully have you guys maybe on a vlog, even put you guys through a workout.
We'll do it.
The
I
next
don't know how long I'm going to
podcast-
last, but
Next
I got you.
podcast, you could talk about it.
No, I'm cool. I'm definitely cool with that. Guys, thanks for being on this episode of the Mind If I Crash podcast. Available on all platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and the YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next week.
Peace.